What's up with Blackberry? First 2 years of silence and now one device after another. Just arrived the Q10 and now here we have the Q5. And to compare those two, I've got the Q10 again. So, and as you can see, both very similar. Both have those haptical, those real buttons down here. Both have the same display, almost the same. We're coming to this back later, meaning 55 millimeters, 55, and resolution of 720 by 720 pixels, and almost the same size. Just the weight is a little bit less. On the Q5, 139 grams versus 120. 120 versus 139 grams on the Q10, and that's because of that plastic bag over here. We had that Kevlar type plastic here, very robust, and especially you can open the back to remove the battery, and you have those slots here. And on the Q5, this is plain plastic, and it's not that classy when you feel it like this one, and especially you can't remove the back. There's no way to do that. So we have on this side, and let me go a little bit closer so that you can see exactly what I mean. Here we go. We have the slots on the right for the micro SIM card, and on the left, well written down here, the micro SD card. By the way, you can use only 32 gigabyte cards officially, but in regular cases normally runs a 64 gigabyte micro SD card as well, but not on the Q5 and not on the Q10, because I tried it with a SanDisk 64 gigabyte and it didn't work untypically, but in this case, it seems to be really sized down to 32 gigabyte cards. Internal memory, yeah, sorry to say, just 8 gigabyte, leaving free memory of 4.6 gigabyte out of the box. And on the Q10, we have had that double on net memory size of around about 11.6 gigabyte. So that's really the big one, and that's a small version. But on the other hand, we have a totally other price level. The Q10 is at the moment, right here in Germany at least, around about 550 euros without any contract. And the Q5, right for the start now, is I'm seeing it on the web for 350 euros. So 200 euros without any contract difference. Well, then I can accept some fixed batteries and some other materials on the back, especially because the size of the screen is the same, and as you can see, the size of the buttons themselves is kind of exactly the same. But to go a little bit closer, again, I want to show you the little difference. We have on the Q5 as well this typical Blackberry style of the surface, meaning on the right half of the keyboard, the buttons have a little slot up on the upper left corner, and in the left half of the keyboard there's this little tip on the right over here, so that the thumbs have always a best point to feel the buttons, even if they're a little bit tiny. But it's the same on the Q10, but I hope you can see in this video they are a little bit different. It's not that precise, it's not that extremely good to feel, but nevertheless you can work with it. It's great, and you can type texts as well. But for me personally, I find the Q10 just a little bit better in ergonomical reasons, but nevertheless, that's not worth 200 euros difference, so don't get me wrong. By the way, features, both do LTE and NFC, but to come to the camera on the back, it's now just 5 megapixels instead of 8 megapixels, but videos are shot in full HD nevertheless. Processor is a little bit different. Both have a dual core processor. On the Q10 it's running with 1.5 gigahertz, and on the Q5 it's running with 1.2 gigahertz, but that's not a big deal. So it's just the memory, I guess, that could be a point for a decision to say, well, that's a little bit too cheap, that Q5 maybe. On the other hand, I wanted to show you a little bit more about the display. Again, it's 55 by 55 millimeters, 720 by 720 pixels, so it seems to be quite the same, but I hope you can see in the video. Nevertheless, the Q5 is a little bit brighter than the Q10, and especially on the Q10 you see that, I hope you see, that little blue color effect, and that's reminding on, yes, we know it's a Super AMOLED display. And just to show you the difference with your own eyes, let me go a little bit brighter than here. This is a typical AMOLED, Super AMOLED pentile matrix, meaning you have those red, green and blue subpixels in that typical non-regular order. And on the other hand, here we have the Q10, and this one, here we go, it's a typical RGB red, green and blue subpixels in a regular order. And yes, this is a typical LCD, meaning in this case IPS display, like on the you might know from the iPhone, for example. So this is, I get I think a plus for the Q5 compared to the Q10. Nevertheless, we have that a little bit processor, a little bit on the camera, and especially on the memory. So you have to decide by yourself what it should be. But yeah, well, for 200 euros difference without any contract, I would think carefully. Okay, good luck with that. I hope that's enough for the first impression of the Blackberry Q5. Thanks for watching, take care, and I hope to see you back soon.